Hello, and welcome to our weekly Plottr 201 class. I'm going to give everybody a minute to get logged in before we get started. As we are getting started, I'd like to just basically have a basic question for everyone. Where are you from? Go ahead and put it in the chat. A little bit about me. My name is Holly, and I'm the support lead over here at Plottr. I live in Oregon, and I've been living here for the past about 20 years or so. Before that, I lived in Arizona. I love the fantasy and sci-fi genres to read. I do write some nonfiction under a pen name, and me and my husband are currently writing a children's book. So I'm really super excited about that. Basically, I'm also an artist, so it's been really fun just kind of like get into that sort of setting. So it's been fun. Hi, Cam. You're from Houston. Great. That's wonderful. So basically what our 201 class is basically I try to go into a bit more detail about the different features within Plottr. In this class, I won't be covering everything. We do have our basic one-on-one class that you can get like a good overview of how it works. And as always, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to message in the comments or message me at support@plottr.com and ask your questions. So the way that this class works is a bit different than the 101. In the 101 class, your questions are answered at the end. For this class, basically, I want to know what your questions are when you have them. I have like my bulleted speech that I do, but I will stop. And so basically, I'll explain how the feature works. And at the end of that, you guys go ahead during the process, go ahead and put your questions in it. Then we'll go through and I'll open it. I'll get it open and we can work on that section. Let's see. I try to get all questions answered to the best of my ability. Even if I don't cover a topic and you have a question, go ahead and ask it, and I'll be able to fill that in. All right. So let me get. Does anybody have any questions right now? Let me get my first section. We are going to be talking about the structure button. And
is where you might do all your writing from. Now, you might like to fill out your scene cards over on the Outline tab, and that's alright too. However, I'm going to show you some stuff on the Timeline tab today. This is what a normal filled in Plottr project might look like. As you can see, we have the chapters along the top and the plot lines along the side. You also notice that it's in the default view with only one level for the structure. I'll talk a bit more about the structure in a minute or two. Now, when you first start Plottr, you might be starting a new blank project, and you will be shown this page with only one chapter and one plot line. And that is it. Now, it can seem daunting to stare at the screen, especially as a new writer, and you don't know where to start, let alone how to use this program. But we do have a few things that we can show you what to do. One is to start with a template. You can start from this page. Hover over the plus button here on the plotline. Select the Use Template. And now you can scroll through the list of starter templates. Or you can head over to the Project tab, select the new book where it says Start with Template. Or you can go back to the dashboard, select Create from Template, and here you'll see Project Templates and Starter Templates. In Plottr, we have over 40 timeline templates, and we are always adding more. We have a variety of different genres and types, from our action-adventure plot to our snowflake method in the project's tablets. The next thing that you could do to start is go and get one of our demo files. We have 7 demo projects that we made, from Three Little Pigs to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It shows you how a Plottr project can be laid out with characters, timeline, places, and tags. And third, you can go to our YouTube page where we have a list of our author interviews. These were done on past versions of Plottr, but by no means does that mean you can't learn from them. Some of them show you how they set up their Plottr, and some of them have a template you can download and open in Plottr. We have an assortment of genres, from how to outline a sweet romance with Deb Kastner, or how to outline a mystery backwards with L.A. Sartre. So now that you started your project, you might be thinking that you want more of a structure to it. This is where the Structure button comes in. When I see that, I just automatically assume it's for the 3-act structure, but this button is so much more. With the timeline structure, you have 3 different levels and 3 different views that you can use. Notice when I click the level, it changes this chapter to scene, and now I've added an act to the levels, and you can see on the timeline my act, chapter, and scene. You can also design with text color, border color, and style for your heading cards. Now, if you have a blank project, it's easy to get started. We can add acts in when we want them. We can add chapters when we want them, and we can also add scenes whenever. But what if we already had our project written and we wanted to convert it to a timeline structure? Let's head back to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. As you can see here, we have a project that is filled out. Now yours can be in a state of not finished, and it will work the same. What I would do, go to the Project tab, and you're going to want to hover over and duplicate the book. Now you can rename it or just leave it with the name Copy in the name. Go into that copy, and now we're going to want to go to the Structure button and add our 3 levels. As you can see, it added act and chapters. Now that we've added acts and chapters, we'll need to fix that. So if you know that you already have some scenes already written out, I would write on a piece of paper how you want it to be structured. For me, with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I already figured out that I want 3 acts, and I want my scenes to number the same as my chapters. So basically, my chapters and scenes are going to be 1 for 1. So I'm going to add 3 acts. So they added it to the back. And I'm going to wait on adding the chapters. And the reason why is I'm going to make this a little bit more smaller so you can see that we now have all of our scenes in this one chapter, and which is now in Act 1. If we flicked to Stacked View and we look at it, you can see that everything just is under Act 1 and Chapter 1. So I've already written out that I want Act 3 to have chapters, scenes 14 through 17 in it. So what I'm going to do, if you noticed, I switched back to default, and we're going to start with Act 3, and we're going to add some chapters to it. So we're going to add 4 chapters, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll move. So as you can see, they've added. Now, that means my scenes 14 through 17 need to be moved to Act 3. Now, the reason why I'm starting with Act 3 is because if you start with Act 2, you might get lost by taking scene 8 and moving it to Act 2 just because of the depth of how many scene cards are in between. Now, there is a way in which you won't lose which scene cards goes to which chapter, and that is to add a new plot line. And I'm going to call it scenes. And what I'm going to do is either move it to the top, or I'm just going to pin it. Pinning it moves it all the way to the top for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and on the timeline, on the plot line here, add scene cards just with the numbers. And that way I can tell where I don't get lost of where my scenes are supposed to go. 13. Awesome. Now that we have that done, we can start moving our scene cards. Now, like I said, my scene cards are going to have my one scene card per chapter. So, and I already know that scene 14, 15, 16, and 17 belong to Act 3. So, what I'm going to do is start with scene 17. I'm going to grab it, and as you can see, it's being moved. If I hover over Act 2 or Act 3, you'll see that it'll start to fade. So I'm going to go to Chapter 5, hover over it, you'll see that it turns gray, and then drop it. And now scene 17 is in Chapter 5. I'm going to do the same thing for scene 16 for Chapter 4, scene 15 for Chapter 3, and scene 14 for Chapter 2. And that's it. Act 3 is done. I can close it so that I'm not confused and have less acts to worry about. Now I'm going to want to do Act 2. Now, Act 2 I've already written out gets scenes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So that is 6 chapters to add. So 7 chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So we're going to go here and we're going to add 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here we are. We're going to move down, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab scene 13 and move it. Scene 12, scene 11, scene 10, 9, 8, and 7. So now we have Act 2 done. But 5 more scenes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more chapters, sorry. Now we just need to add 5 more chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to grab scene 6, go to chapter 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. Now that we have chapter 6 done, that is all that we need to do for now. I'm going to show you it in stacked view. As you can see, we now have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 structured. Now, you don't have to use all 3 acts, we can just use 2, or if we'd like, we can make our scenes called beats. And you can actually change the names of these back in the structure. We go over and we hover over it and click on it, and then we can just say the new word that we want. An act is now part, and you can see that it updated. Scene is now beat, and it was updated. So you can go ahead and add as many scenes as you like to your chapter as well. So for me, I like setting up 1 scene per chapter, but you can always add more scenes per chapter. So that's it for the timeline structure.
Okay. Um, so yeah, so Fabrizio, you have a good question on can it be used on the um, restructure. So the thing about the restructure is, yes, you can definitely use the restructure timeline, and you find that over in the three buttons. The way that I process, though, I get confused. So because all you have is words here, and you have Act 1 to Chapter 1, and when you move, say like Scene 1 to be in your Chapter 3, I cannot visualize that. So if you can definitely you can definitely use the restructure button, and obviously it is a more compact visual tool. Um, for me though, it is all words, and I cannot I if I tried to do this, it would not be a very good system to show you how to do it. Um, and even then, I have to, it's get it all laid out to be able to visualize it myself. And I have to design it on how I want to have it structured in the 3 acts. And I don't normally actually use the 3-act structure. Just like I said, I use, usually my scenes number my chapters. So I don't need a system. Now in my nonfiction, I'll have a part, like a part 1 and a part 2, um, which is basically more basic or advanced features. And I can see it that way, and using a 2 structure button. But for as a 3-act structure, I know that it's there's certain, when you use a 3-act structure, you have your acts, then you have your chapters. And on your chapters, you can definitely have multiple scenes or, in those chapters. So usually though, so that's why I showed it at the end, where you can add what you need, and you can customize it how you want. So by all means, if you can use the restructure button, go for it. I just see that, and I just see words, and I don't make heads or tails of where they are. So that is that for the restructure. And of course, if you change it and it's like I made a mistake and I don't know how to fix it, you discard the changes and it won't change anything. All right. Now, Kim, you asked if any of the templates are similar to the Save the Cat 15-beat outline. The thing about, I'm going to say that none of our in Plottr are similar to Save the Cat. Save the Cat is a proprietary content, but we do have some community made ones. And I have some that I can give you if you don't see it on our community template page. And I have a basic Blake Save the Cat. It's not very big. Basic one. I have a one that follows a 3-act structure. Well, I guess it's a 2-act. It's 2, and it's like that. I also have our 8-scene one that someone made. Which this is an 8-scene Save the Cat sequence. And a '60-scene Save the Cat sequence. So if you like any of these templates, you can go ahead and reach out to support, and I can get those for you. So did anybody have any other questions about the 3-act, the timeline structure? See, I always want to call it the 3-act structure, but it's technically the timeline structure. Basically, you can, when you're working on different, even if you're working on, like, you say you're marketing stuff, and you can put these, like, this is the month of January, and you put your January items that need to be done in each folder. So you have 12 acts, so 12 months. And and then you can put things in it. So, but to me, it's 3-act structure. You are welcome, Kim. It is great to know that we do have some, and then you can even just take the ones that we have, and it's like, and build upon them too, and make your own template. So, all right, if that is, let's see. Okay. If that is done, then I am going to get, the next thing that I'm going to bring up is the filtering button. So let me get that loaded.
To the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I made some changes to the book. Let's look at scene 1. As you can see, I added some attributes to the scene card, and I added a template. You might have also noticed that I added a color from over here on the left panel. Actually, if we go out, you would notice that I colored most of the scenes on the main plot line. Now, you might ask, what is the point of coloring the scenes, and what does it have to do with filtering? Well, you can do it for a number of reasons. One reason is to use it in your editing. By changing the color to green to signify it's complete and ready for the editor, I can pinpoint the scenes to send. Yellow indicates the second draft, red the first draft, and no color means the scene is not yet drafted. Now, with Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, you can see it really easy. There's only 17 chapters. However, if you have an epic story with lots of chapters and lots of scenes, being able to see it in one go how much of a story you have completed helps you to know what you need to do. For example, if I have a schedule to do first draft to second draft, then I start with chapter 8. If I'm writing the scene card, I know to start with chapter 12. And if you use the filtering button, you can actually show it on the timeline like this. As you can see, I filtered for the green cards and my chapter 1, 2, and 3 showed up while my others are faded into the background. You can still open your scene cards while filtered, and if needed, change the color. Now, let's take a look at the filter button. As you can see, we can filter for an assortment of things. You can also use the filter in the Notes, Character, and Places tabs. They work all the same. With the filter, I bet you noticed that you're unable to filter for the template that I was added to scene card 1. That is the only thing on a scene card that you cannot filter for.
I am so sorry. Um, no, it was I was muted. I am so sorry. Um, if you guys don't know, I get stage fright as well, so I am I'm sorry. Um, so anyways, as I was saying, the filter is different than the search. So the filter is, like I said, uses the Plottr's tagging system, and it's great to use if you wanted to make sure that you have your if you wanted to go in and tag all your characters to scene cards. You can go in and say, okay, which ones have I tagged, which ones have I not tagged, and then you can actually go through and look and do it that way as well. Okay, sorry. It is Monday. Yes, and it's morning, and thank you for bearing with me. All right, so the next one I am going to talk about. So does anybody have any questions on the filtering? Um, I don't think that I don't think I've actually had too many questions over the year about filtering. I think it's pretty straightforward. Um, but yeah. Um, all right. So let me get the next thing I'm going to talk about is templates. So, and that's this is going to be the mainly the custom templates and the normal templates. So um, let me get that started.
Now, the templates that I want to talk about are the custom templates. In Plottr, not only do we have templates already in Plottr, but we let you manage and create your own templates. We are going to go over on how to save a template and how to customize a template. So to get started, I like to work from a clean project. So here's a blank project with nothing else in it. I can start with a base template within Plottr or from anywhere else. For this example, I did it again. Fucking. for this example, I'm going to be picking for this example, I'm going to pick a template in Plottr. My example, I am writing a fantasy book, and I'm trying to find a good mix. And I have a thought process, but I'm not quite sure that the hero's journey will fit, but I think it's close enough, and I'm going to start with that one. I am going to add that as a template on my timeline. However, I think there might be a mystery subplot to it, so I want to look at the mystery templates. We have a couple to choose from in Plottr, but I'm going to pick the 12-step mystery formula. As you can see, I now have my templates. Now, if this is the type of story that I usually write, and I make my changes to this template that fits my writing style, I will want to use it for all my books. You can go in and change and add or delete to your heart's content. Make the template your own. Now, you have two options for reusing the template. The first is the Save As button here on the timeline. Click the three dots, select the Save As template, give it a name, select Save. Now, when I go to the Project tab and I want to start a new book, you can see my template right here under the My Templates list. Now, what about if I already have some tags that I use for every time, or if I have notes that I have a preset to help with my research? When you use the Save As template, it only makes a copy of what the timeline shows, not the rest of the project. So, say you do have tags like these editing tags, and you have notes here that you want to include in each project. You will need to make a project, and then you can duplicate it from the dashboard. I would use a naming convention that you will remember. Mine is Fantasy Mystery Template. Save. Now, the thing about the My Template in the list is that you cannot update them. If you decide that you want to add the action adventure plot to your timeline, you need to save it as a new template. I suggest to have a naming convention or in the description of what changed.
All right. Okay. So sorry about that. It is a little muted on those. I am sorry about that. I will get that fixed up. It's I have that little segment is under is using a different microphone, so I am sorry about that. It's but I hope that you were able to get some information on working with templates. Did anybody have any questions on that? Okay. All right. So that is all I had for scheduled for today. Did anybody have anything else that maybe that they wanted to go through and ask me about Plottr? Miriam, do you have any recommendations for a dual timeline novel? So let me see if, are you asking about for the templates? I think it just depends on what you're trying to write. So basically there's a lot of good ones. Romance and mystery often go hand in hand together. You have, you can always throw in any mystery into a, fantasy, or even your, different other types of things. And of course, you can always throw romance into anything. So, you have your, and even if it's just like a minor touch in, you can still throw that romance in there, that romance template, and like touch base on like, oh, I want to make sure that, I want to hit this, in these chapters to make sure that my characters, even though it's a fantasy novel, there's a romance plot coming through. Kim. So to recap, the save as button to save a timeline. To save a timeline bundle with notes, characters, etc. So we should just save as a project. Yes, correct. If it is only the timeline, you use the save as template, and you can name that. If you want to save notes, characters, anything else that's encompassing a project, you need to save it. You need to duplicate it. So that is correct. And there's different reasons why you might do that. And that is, well, one, if it's, you have just research notes that you go through. It's like, I want to make sure that I research these things in all my stories. Or you have character layout that's for templates. You want to use the same attributes in each of your stories and for each of your characters, or you have the same tagging system that you want to use. It would be handy if you had a series. You can also, so in that, if you had a series, you can duplicate that one project, and then you can have, for the timeline, you can just duplicate, obviously, from the thing. Let me open up a blank project, and I'll use the there we go. Add to stage. So, right. So basically, if you had characters in here, and you had notes and characters, and you wanted to, you can obviously have your timeline set up the way that you want, and you can either use it with the save as template here, right? And you name it, and then when you go and add a new, you start with template, and it'll be under my templates. You can also go here and copy it, and that will copy it for your series, and that's a series. If you like to start in the same project, if you want to be on different ones, then yeah, you would go into the dashboard and you would duplicate it, and then everything will be saved. And then let me see. Oh, okay. And then Troy was telling you, Miriam, that that he uses something for a dual timeline. So since I don't know that, you can reach out, and even if you have more of a question on that, you can obviously write it out a little bit better and clearer in the email to me instead of the limit in chat here. You can also run 2 beat sheets in parallel. Yeah, you can definitely add as many templates as you want. It'll take up basically, it'll take all of these. So once you actually use it, the children's like, I'm going to use the children's book plot. And then when I go back, you can even see that it's still there. So you can use as many templates as you want to fill out, or even to figure out how you want to structure your timeline. If you want to compare the different mystery templates, put them all in one project, and then you can go through and look at them. And then you can even build your own that way too. So let me see. And all right. Okay, links. So as if I'll just gonna basically sum it up. So if anybody doesn't have any other questions, I'll let you guys finish getting anything that you have. Demo files are over at the at plottr.com and demos. It's where I grabbed the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We have other ones, Three Little Pigs, if you definitely want to take a look at that. Pride and Prejudice, we have Alice in Wonderland, and that. And then, of course, if you feel like there are other trainings, we have the Plottr 101 class with LB on Tuesdays. I try to do a second Thursday night Plottr 101 class at 6 p.m. Pacific on that. And of course, the 201 here. And then documentation pages. I'm in the process of getting those updated. And then you can contact us at support@plottr.com or through our email system. Of course, you can always join Facebook. We have a good community there. And video tutorials. So we have some basic video tutorials. Basic goes over the timeline, go over the character tabs. Just a quick refresher of what those are. So, so if you are watching this, or if you have any other questions during the week, you can obviously email me at any time with those questions. If I'm unable to answer them, basically, I will reach out to the rest of the team to see if they can get answered, basically more like writing, or if you had which template to use for what, or if we have a template for something. If you want to see a template, go ahead and reach out to us too. Because we're always looking for new templates to add. So if you see something from somewhere that's like, hey, do you have this template? It's always something that maybe we can add later. And I'm getting I'm reaching out to see if anybody can, if there is interest in a one-on-one, to see if you want to speak to me or somebody else on the team to basically to fit your Plottr, your writing into Plottr, if you needed more advanced help in like how to set up the Plottr file for your book. And if that might be interested to you, you can go ahead and reach out to support and let me know. Other than that, that is it for today. I'd like to thank you all for coming. And again, if you like to see something particular in one of these 201s, let me know and I'll get it kind of like written out and figure out what I need to do. All right. Thank you very much.